Hello, this is Dr. Jazairi. This is part 3 of my coronavirus update. Before I forget, well, first of all, I have part 1 and part 2 videos. They're kind of like a storyline, so I recommend that you see them first. I'm going to put the link, I think it's on this side, to my first video. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to put my part 2 and also another video that I had posted before, which I think will help you. And also there will be the link to my channel. If you like this channel, please support it by subscribing. I would appreciate it. Before I forget, there's some, actually a patient of mine Facebooked me that, there's some concern about ibuprofen, which is Advil or Motrin. People are taking this and have the coronavirus. They're doing much worse. Again, this is based on one French physician's recommendation. As of now, there's no scientific data to prove it. So the FDA, everybody's looking into it, but there's no data to prove it. As far as I know, there's never been any link with non-steroidals with viral infections making it worse. So the good thing with ibuprofen is that, if you do get really bad symptoms with, with this virus and you have a lot of inflammation inside the body, ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory and it's much better than Tylenol. So if you can take it, it's probably better to take it than not to take it. But I just want to let you know. Also wanted to thank you, all of you. I've had a lot of support with a lot of likes on my videos, which now means that I'm going to get a lot of thumbs downs. But a lot of you may say, well, Dr. Jazairi, you're a plastic surgeon. What do you know about all of this? That's correct. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon. I'm not a virus expert. I'm not an infection control specialist. But I'm a physician. I had 8 years of post-surgical training after my medical school to get here. I also did a year of research fellowship, and I published 3 papers. 2 of them was in plastic and reconstructive surgery, which is the most respected journal in our specialty. The other one was in Journal of Craniofacial Surgery, which is the most respected journal for craniofacial surgery. And it is a peer-reviewed journal. That means that experts in the field of craniofacial surgery review the paper that you submitted, and it has to meet a certain quality before it gets published. I then published another paper while I was a resident in plastic surgery, again in plastic and reconstructive surgery, and I just submitted a paper to the Aesthetic Society where we prove that patients who have breast augmentation did not require any narcotics for pain, because as you know, the narcotics were really overhyped. And so we've proven that. It was accepted for presentation at the meeting, which unfortunately was postponed because of the coronavirus. It was scheduled April 25th. So eventually it'll go, and I'll keep you guys updated. But the point I'm trying to make is I can evaluate and interpret data, and I'm very comfortable in doing that. Again, none of you has said anything, but some of you doubters may say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how bad it is out there. What are you talking about? Well, actually, I do. And I'm not trying to be arrogant or brash, but in my general surgery residency, I've seen a lot, but these are the 3 that I remember specifically. One was a 20-year-old. He was in his 20s. Had pancreatitis. And once the pancreas gets really inflamed, it basically leaks acid into the, all these enzymes and acids come out. And so we took him to surgery. His bowels were so swollen, we couldn't close it initially. And so we had to cover it with a sterile plastic wrap. And so every day we went there, we could see his bowels move in front of us. And it took a while before the swelling went down and we could close him. I took care of a 2-year-old. The mom's boyfriend dipped her in hot water to shut her up. She had 45% burn on her bodies, and in a few days she died from acute respiratory distress syndrome in front of my eyes. I took care of an 18-year-old who had a C-section. After the child was delivered, she went into a coma. We're not sure why. Then they did studies, and it turned out she was brain dead. And the family wanted her to be an organ donor. So I took her off the ventilator, and she died in front of my eyes. So, I do get it, but if you don't agree with me, at least respect what I have to say. That's all I'm asking. Going back to the data, as you know, a lot of the things I had said so far was based on the initial data, and I have more data right now, and I have to say that I have been wrong. I thought, my initial impression was that the coronavirus was very similar to the flu, but it is not. But again, I'm going to talk about putting things in perspective after this. So I have some information here for you. There's a mathematical term called R-naught, N-A-U-G-H-T, and then R, capital R. It's a mathematical term. Basically, it says the infectiveness of a virus, how effective it is. So, for example, the R-naught of the flu, the common flu, is about 1.3, and the mortality from the flu is 0.1%. So that means if 1,000 people catch the flu, 1 will die. Now that's still quite a bit. I mean, if you think about it, you go to a concert where there's 5,000 people, if all caught the flu, 5 will die. I mean, so that's why, we should take the flu more seriously too, but we're just numb to it because it happens every year. That's my argument. The coronavirus, the R-naught is 2, so it's almost twice as infective as the flu, and the mortality rate so far has been around 4.5%. The 1918 pandemic, which I talked to you about, my last video, killed 50 million people. It was the deadliest pandemic ever. Had an R-naught of 1.8, and again, this is probably a guesstimate because this happened 100 years ago, but the mortality rate is quoted as 2.5%. SARS, which came out in 2003, had an R-naught of 2 to 5%, very infectious, and the mortality was 10%. But the good thing with SARS was you only became infectious when you were symptomatic. So that reduced the spread of the disease, because as soon as people were symptomatic, they put them in isolation. So that was a good thing with SARS. I don't know if anybody you remember MERS, M-E-R-S. I don't remember that. Came out in 2012, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Had an R-naught of 0.5, so half as infectious as the flu, but had a mortality of 35%. But it never spread. I think it only killed about, or got 3,000 to 4,000 people involved or infected. Ebola, we all remember Ebola. R-naught of 2%, mortality of 50%. But Ebola was so nasty, the government just shut down the country right off the bat. I mean, people were bleeding, coughing up blood. So it was contained very rapidly. I forgot to talk to you about the swine flu, H1N1, came out in 2009. The R-naught was 1.5 with a mortality of 0.02%. So I was wrong, okay? However, if you think about, you can keep stressing about the 4% mortality, even that's when you catch the flu. If you don't have the flu, you don't have to worry about it. But you have a 96% chance of survival. I mean, that's pretty good. So, the other, the problem that I have is people are stressing with things they cannot control. Our friends keep texting my wife or sending her this thing, oh, there's only 166,000 ventilators. What if we go overboard? Well, that may happen. It's not likely. But how is stressing about this helping anybody? You know, stress. If you get anxious, people get anxious because they cannot control things that they don't have any control over, and that's dangerous. We had a friend who was so stressed out. She was always like an overwinded clock. I mean, she was always at the edge. And it turned out she had hypothyroidism, which was stress-induced. That can happen. She was so stressed out it affected her thyroid. And as you know, the thyroid is the thermostat to your body. If it's too high or too low, you can potentially die. And she learned how to control her stress, and her thyroid went back to normal. She didn't need any medication. Stress will affect your immune system. I mean, this is not the time to stress. Control the things that you can control. I mean, that's all you can do, and that's what you need to do. Again, as I talked to you before, the only way this virus is going to get into you is either you had a cut on your hands or your body or somewhere, and you touch a surface that has the virus on it. That's why if you use a lot of this alcohol sanitizer, take it easy, because it can dry out your hand and you can get cracks in your hand. So it's better to use soap and water. Maybe mix it up with the alcohol. But as long as your hands are clean, okay, and you touch your face, you'll be fine. I mean, that's how the virus gets in. And, fortunately, you'll be far away from people who's going to sneeze or cough on you. But a couple of things that, you may not think about, and this is just in general, not just now, lunch bags and purses. So, we take our lunch bags, we put our purses on the floor. A lot of times, I know a lot of women's bathrooms have hooks, but if they don't, you put that purse on the floor, or your lunch bag, even when you go to work, it's on the floor or some environment. And then you come home, and by habit, where do we put it? We usually put it on the kitchen counter or the kitchen island, and that's where we eat. So don't do that. That's one of the easiest ways of taking care of contaminating the surfaces. If you do that, just wipe it with some bleach or alcohol, to sterilize it. So that's what you need to do. I'm still trying to figure out why there's such a disparity between the death rates in countries. I talked about Italy having a high death rate. We talked about it in my previous video. But for example, I don't know why Germany's death rate is like 0.6%. I don't know if because there are more, the German culture, as you know, they're very detail-oriented and specific. I don't know if they're really making sure these patients died from coronavirus or not. But, China has 4%, Italy has 10%, Iran has 7.6%, I think. United States is around 1.5%. It may change, as you know, there's this bad situation in New York. But I'm still trying to figure out, why we have these reports of these young people dying now in the United States and some other countries, whereas initially that wasn't the case. And I still think that maybe there's vaping as a contributing factor. I've posted this question to some of the what do you call them? These discussion groups that I go on. Nobody's been able to give me a good answer yet. So if anybody out there has any answers, please comment, because I'm very curious to see if the vaping has anything to do with this. But I still think it's a great idea not to go to these large groups of people. I think that makes sense at this stage. So I'm glad that there is a ban on these things. I'm still a little bit upset that the spring break and all these people went to Florida over there, and even beaches in Southern California last weekend were packed. So please don't do that. And again, don't stress about things that you cannot control. That would only create more anxiety for you. I have a link to the video again towards the end of my video. One is part 2 of the coronavirus outbreak, but one is just about, stress, and some of the things, that you can do. But so I'll come out with more videos as there's more data out there. And like I said, for now, just be safe and keep your hands clean when you touch your face. I almost forgot. For some of us, hopefully, this is a really unique time to be, if you cherish your family, cherish your family. This is a very unique, or people that you love. This is a very unique situation. How often do we get this situation where we don't work, the kids are at home, everywhere is closed, so you have time to spend with your family. And it's been really nice. I take my kids out because they're like prisoners out of prison when I take them out. We go play soccer, we walk. I do photography as a hobby, so they come and help me out with my photography setup. And I see all these families walking together and picnicking together. And, nobody has cell phones. They're actually talking and doing stuff together. And, it's so sad that it took a pandemic for us to realize how important human contact is. And, we're so used to this electronic isolation. And it's unfortunate that we needed this to remind us how important, our surroundings are. And so please, do not go on your cell phone and keep looking at stuff when your kids are staying there watching TV. Just control what you can in your environment. Hang out with your kids, with your family. Smile, okay? Smile, laugh, enjoy life, work out. Working out is great. If you work out at a high intensity for at least 30 minutes, your body will produce endorphins. Endorphins is high quality, pure morphine. You don't have to buy it from anywhere. It's free, and it'll help you with the stress. So there are a lot of things we can all do so we don't go overboard. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and I will put out more videos as more update comes up. So for now, take care, be safe. Try to be happy and positive, okay? It's not as bad as it is, and we'll all make it through. Thank you.